I've been looking for a while. I've been tempted to write a few stories, but I'm a terrible writer. I've been roofied twice, stalked by a crazy chick, chased by a machete-wielding man, and held at gunpoint, so I've almost forgotten about this story until yesterday. This is really long, so sorry for that. This story takes place about 2 years ago in LA. I was 22 at the time. I met Rachel about 2 months prior to the incident, but we had hung out every day in that short amount of time. I can go on all day about how perfect she was, but you guys don't have time for that. Just know that besides being beautiful, smart, and spontaneous, she was also fearless. She made me go bungee jumping, bought a tarantula on a whim, and once made an entire bar erupt in cheers after breaking some dude's nose that had slapped her when she declined his request for a phone number. We never defined our relationship, but I guess you could say we were exclusive friends with benefits, as ridiculous as that sounds. But I think that's because we were having so much fun, so fast, that we didn't want to risk what we had, but we both knew our feelings ran deeper than that. This may be important later, I'm not sure yet. It was a summer night, and we had been at the beach for a bonfire with my friend Peter, his nephew Rick, who was only 2 years younger than him, and his nephew's girlfriend, but had to leave because alcohol was not allowed. It was already midnight, but we didn't want to call it a night, so we decided to go to Rick's house to play some beer pong. We arrived at Rick's house around 1 in the morning, and he motions us to wait in the car, as it seems that he and his girlfriend had gotten into an argument. 10 minutes passed, and I asked Peter to pop the trunk so I could get a beer from the ice chest. He does it, but almost simultaneously says, "She's still there?" He's looking in the rear view mirror, so I turn and see what he's looking at, and it's a lady, several hundred feet down the street, just standing there but facing the other direction. He explains that she had been standing in the same spot directly below a streetlight since we got there. I continue out the car, get us beer, then close the truck when Peter and Rachel both say fuck and start laughing. I turn to find that she's still there in the same spot but now facing us. Weird, but whatever. I get back in the car and we lose track of time talking about a planned camping trip, but it's now been about 30 minutes and I need another beer. So I get out and I see the lady, but now the streetlight she was under had gone out, and she was under another one a little closer to us. Now we can see this lady's face, and she's just looking down the street, emotionless, and with a blank stare. Now that was still weird, but we just got the green light to enter Rick's house, so we quickly forgot about it. Now we've been playing beer pong for about an hour, and we had completely forgotten about the weird lady outside, but we also ran out of beer, so we sent Peter to go retrieve the ice chest from the car. He comes back empty-handed saying, "Fuck that, I'm not going out there." We're confused for a moment, but look out the window to find that the streetlight she was under before had gone out, and now she was at the streetlight directly in front of the house and car. In our drunken state, we were laughing, giving Peter shit about being a bitch and whatnot, but it was actually pretty creepy. Rachel, being the badass that she is, says, "Move, pussies, I'll go get it." Not wanting to be outdone, I followed. We approached the lady, but she still didn't turn to face us. Rachel goes up to her and asks, "Sweetie, are you okay? Do you need help?" Nothing. Now, we are directly in front of her. Her eyes were glazed over, but she wasn't blinking, just staring basically through us. Rachel tries to communicate again, this time placing her hand on her arm. Nothing. At this point, we realize she needs help, so Rachel tells me to call 911. I take out my phone, and I'm about to dial but look up to see that the lady had turned her head to face me. I pause momentarily but decide to continue. As soon as I look down, I hear her scream, "No!" and she slaps the phone down on the floor. This had me shocked for a couple seconds, but I realized that she just now turned towards Rachel and is whispering something into her ear. I'm staring, still in shock, just watching her whisper to Rachel for what seemed like forever, but was probably only 20 seconds, before she just turns and runs off into the darkness. The police came, and I decided I'd let Rachel talk to them. I went inside, and Peter and Rick were cracking up. I did too. It was such a what the fuck situation that all I could do was laugh. We hear Rachel enter, and I go over to ask how it went, and she gives me a forced smile and just said, "Good. I'm kinda tired. Can you give me a ride home?" I was pretty buzzed, so I proposed a taxi because she seemed pretty adamant. We get to her apartment, and I ask the taxi to wait, but she quickly turns and asks if I didn't want to stay. Now I've stayed there before, but this time her eyes seemed to beg me, so I agreed. That was the last time I saw Rachel. Until last night. For For the past 2 years, all I've seen from Rachel were texts on birthdays and holidays. I was confused for a long time, as I didn't know what happened. I mentioned earlier we had a camping trip planned, among other things, and we were pretty inseparable during that time, so I was at a loss for what had happened. Last night was the first time that made me consider that this event may have contributed to that. I was at a bar waiting for a friend to get off work when I hear someone call my name. It was Rachel. I was nervous, but when we began talking, it was just like before, until the inevitable, "I haven't seen you since" talk. I begin to retell the events of that night, and she gets quiet. It wasn't until I asked what the lady said to her that I realized this. She gave me a look that I can only explain as "please let it go." Her friends noticed and asked if she was okay. At this point, I decided to back off the subject. I walk her and her friends out of the bar and ask her where she parked her car. That was answered by her friend's high-pitched "Ha!" Rachel always parks under the street lamp. I don't remember for sure, but I'm fairly certain that she never made that effort before. Me and Rachel have made plans to hang out again. I don't know if it'll be like before, but I'm hopeful. As for knowing what Rachel heard, your guess is as good as mine.